Welcome back to CIA Declassified, the broadcast dedicated to dissecting the classified documents that reveal how intelligence agencies react when they encounter technology that fundamentally exceeds human engineering capabilities. Today, we move from the control of consciousness to the surveillance of the unknown. We address the chilling fact that U.S. intelligence dedicated significant resources to tracking an object whose behavior and signature were consistently flagged as non-conventional and non-terrestrial. We are analyzing the CIA's involvement in tracking the alien probe in polar orbit, treating an extraterrestrial asset as a strategic reconnaissance vehicle. Our primary evidence is the declassified file CIA-RDP79T00935, a document originating from the CIA's Technical Operations Group detailing the methodology for orbital tracking and signature analysis. This report is titled, quote, Non-Terrestrial Signatures and Low Observability Orbital Mechanics, end quote. It confirms that specialized astrophysics, radar cross-section analysis, and propulsion experts were tasked with evaluating the possibility of a highly advanced non-human probe operating within a perfectly stable polar orbit. The context here is strategic signature denial. A polar orbit, an orbit that passes over both poles, allows a satellite to surveil the entire surface of the Earth as the planet rotates beneath it, making it the ideal path for global reconnaissance. The object's ability to maintain this orbit with minimal detectable energy expenditure and its lack of conventional heat signatures suggested technology far beyond known capability. The file's existence confirms that the presence of unexplained high-technology artifacts in Earth orbit was a high-priority strategic concern. The analysis focuses on two primary areas: low observability metrics and propulsion deviation analysis. Let's drill down into the rigorous and professionally alarming technical methodology documented in this file. The analysts demanded an explanation for the unexplainable. The file required an intense focus on multimodal signature rejection. Conventional satellites are tracked by radar, reflecting radio waves, infrared, detecting heat from propulsion systems or solar panels, and visual observation. The probe, however, exhibited low observability across all three modes. The key analytical challenge documented was the probe's operational maneuvering capability. The probe reportedly executed instantaneous vector changes, sudden shifts in speed and direction that violate the known limitations of conventional reaction engines and fuel storage. Theoretical sections of the report proposed that the propulsion could rely on advanced concepts such as magnetohydrodynamics or field effect propulsion, the idea that the object was generating a controlled, localized gravimetric field allowing it to push against the curvature of space-time, similar to concepts discussed in prior documents but far more advanced and localized, rather than relying on propellant, and 2, zero radiating thermal systems. The material composition of the probe appeared to be designed to perfectly absorb and re-radiate thermal energy, maintaining a consistent low heat profile that made it impossible to lock onto with infrared telescopes. The document includes conceptual specifications for establishing anomaly correlational benchmarks, the statistical certainty that the object was not a fragment of space debris, a failed domestic asset, or a known adversarial platform. The report concludes that the correlation to known human technology was less than 0.01%. Crucially, the file dedicated an entire section to strategic threat assessment via operational pattern. This research focused on analyzing the probe's flight path pattern. Did it show interest in military installations, nuclear facilities, or population centers? This analysis provided the foundation for assessing the unknown operator's intent. We must now examine the primary finding, the agency's assessment of the object's origin and potential. This is a critical excerpt regarding the confirmation of its highly advanced nature. Quote, based on observed velocity changes and instantaneous angular momentum nullification, the object possesses a propulsion system operating outside of Newtonian mechanics, strongly indicating non-terrestrial design origin. And quote number 2, from a section discussing vulnerability, quote, the ability to deploy an untraceable reconnaissance asset into a stable polar orbit without emitting a conventional signature represents an irreversible intelligence gap and a clear technological superiority over all known state actors, end quote. This is the true meaning of the file. It states that the U.S. intelligence community was forced to contend with an entity possessing technology orders of magnitude more advanced than its own. The focus shifted from how do we gain technological superiority to how do we simply detect and understand the superiority that is already here. We now address the chilling operational implications of this file. The attempt to respond to an unknown, highly advanced orbital platform. The most extensive redactions occur in the sections titled Active Countermeasures and Interception Feasibility, as well as in Covert Tracking Infrastructure. This suggests detailed discussions around what, if anything, could be done to attempt to disrupt or disable the probe, and the secret network of high-powered radar installations and observation stations dedicated solely to tracking this and similar unexplained phenomenon. Why redact active countermeasures? Because this section documents the likely futile attempts by the intelligence community to deploy kinetic or electromagnetic measure against an object they could barely track, and which likely possessed an impenetrable defense or cloaking system. The concept discussed is the recognition of an intelligence gap of existential magnitude. The presence of this technology fundamentally alters the understanding of strategic power, placing the control of orbital space into hands completely unknown. The file details the requirement for a vast covert infrastructure to maintain continuous surveillance, often overlapping military and civilian space tracking programs to mask the true focus of the observation. The strategic importance of this research is clear. It is a technological dominance assessment that fundamentally changes the nature of strategic defense. A state forced to track such an object gains the knowledge that absolute security in its own airspace is impossible. We conclude our analysis of this document. The existence and scope of the research confirm that U.S. intelligence treated the highly anomalous presence of an unknown orbital vehicle as a top priority strategic threat. The implication is that the analysis moved into the sphere of applied exophysics, the engineering of technology to deal with entities outside of human experience for the sake of strategic survival. This research represents the ultimate confrontation with the limits of human science. If this documented truth has opened your mind to the technological boundaries explored by those in power, we require your continued support. First, like this episode and leave us a detailed 5-star review wherever you listen. This is how the analysis exposes the deeper scientific agendas. Second, share this episode with someone obsessed with UFOs, orbital mechanics, or the search for advanced life. We need more sharp minds analyzing these documented facts. Now, a programming note for our listeners. We are temporarily pausing our new full-length investigations. I am diving back into our archives to edit and extend some of the prior episodes that had shorter running times, providing the deeper analysis they deserve. This effort to build out the archives will begin with a full extended analysis of Operation Oxygas, where we explore the clandestine methods used to control global climate patterns, including cloud seeding, ionospheric modification, and the creation of targeted meteorological phenomenon for tactical advantage. Tune in next time for the extended analysis of Operation Oxygas, and thank you for continuing to dissect the truth with CIA Declassified. Until then, remember, maintain your vigilance, question the movement of light, and keep your critical thinking sharp. I'll see you in the archives.